My job is to represent people who have disputes of one kind or another. We do a lot of cases that involve injuries, car accidents, things like that. Typical work week, I will spend a lot of time on the phone talking with potential clients. I will spend a lot of time talking with attorneys or who are on the other side in my cases. I will take depositions, which is where we go out and ask questions of witnesses under oath. Typically those are either videotaped or typed, the answers are typed down. And then we spend some time in trial if the case actually gets that far. So that's a typical kind of work schedule. I went back to law school after I'd been out for a little while and decided I wanted to get into litigation or trial work because I liked the excitement of it. I liked speaking, communicating with juries, and saw it as an opportunity to help people as well. So it's kind of a combination of those things. You have to have 4 years of an undergraduate degree followed by 3 years of law school.
Where did you get your education?
I went to the University of Missouri for undergrad in business school, and then went to University of Missouri at Kansas City for law school. Well, no more formal training other than we are required to have 15 hours of what they call continuing education every year, which is you go into a seminar where somebody puts on a presentation and they have to be approved by the bar. In terms of on-the-job training, everybody who gets out of law school has to be trained by an attorney, a senior attorney, because you're just not prepared to do the day-to-day detail work that the law requires. You're taught more big picture legal theories in law school. So everyone gets trained by wherever their first job is, gets trained by a mentor or some kind of a senior attorney.
Is it like an apprenticeship?
It is very similar to an apprenticeship because you don't come out of law school really ready to practice law. You have to learn the ins and outs of it from somebody who's done it. Advantages are, at least at my age or my stage, having done it for 20 years, I have some flexibility in my schedule. I can do things kind of when I want to do them to some extent, kind of set my own calendar. So there's some flexibility there. It's not really a punch the clock 9 to 5 kind of job. It can be a good living for your family. You know, lawyers can do. There's a wide range of that, though. So there's a wide range in what lawyers make, but it can be a good living for your family. It is mentally challenging, mentally stimulating. There's always a different problem to deal with. You're always trying to solve another puzzle or another problem from day to day. So that's one of the advantages of it.
Mm-hmm. What about a disadvantage?
Disadvantages, it can be highly stressful. Going in front of judges and having people's livelihoods or their future at stake with what you say and what kind of trial you prepare can be a stressful occupation, and it can be also time consuming. Yeah, a new lawyer is going to work, and again, it depends upon, there's such a wide range of legal jobs, it depends, but a typical lawyer working in a firm is going to work a minimum of 50 hours a week. And there are going to be times when they're preparing for trial that it's going to be a lot more than that, or when they're in trial. So I think anybody who's getting in the legal business needs to plan on working 50 to 60 hours a week. Well, the legal field went through a huge boom for probably 20 years, and that has stopped in the last 5 years. There are fewer people now graduating from law school, and it's much harder to get a job coming out of law school. So the law schools are reducing their class size. So there is a little bit of an overabundance of attorneys, and that impacts how much work each attorney can do and how young lawyers, the ability they have to get jobs. So that's been a big change. Technology is always obviously a huge change. When I started, you did all the legal research in books. There was some early computer PC programs that were available. Now that's very rare that any law student or young lawyer would use books to do legal research. It would all be done on computer. So that's one of the biggest changes. And then the ability to create documents has changed so much because of computers, and so much more of our work's done by email now than it used to be. So things like that, that's all changed, and it's accelerated in the last 5 years because of technology. Very possible. In fact, if you choose certain fields where you, for example, review and create documents, let's say you review and create contracts for a particular business, there's no reason why you couldn't do that at any location, as remote as you want to make it. My job is a little different because we do try cases and have to be in court, so there are times we have to be at a particular location. But we took a deposition 2 weeks ago of a witness who was in the Middle East. He was in Abu Dhabi, and he did it by Skype, and it worked out fine. Well, since we're in the problem-solving business, we look for people who are able to solve problems. It's the single most important attribute of an employee, in my opinion, in any kind of job, but in our job especially, is the ability to take a project and get to the end without having constant supervision, and then bringing something to the project beyond just the bare bones. You have to be able to think outside the box. But for any young person who is thinking about whatever job they're going to get into, I think the single biggest attribute you can have is the ability to work independently and solve problems. It's important. Research and writing is an area of law that every young lawyer has to do. So they teach it in law school, and then as you get more experience, it's typically done by the younger attorneys, but we still get involved in it. We write briefs for the court, arguing one side or the other. Those have to. There are very strict rules on how those are done, and obviously they have to be done in a grammatically correct way and in a persuasive way. So it's real important to have good writing skills. Reading skills are just as important because you have to be able to read and comprehend things, because we spend a lot of our time reading. It's why English majors often make really good lawyers, because they are taught reading, writing, and communicating, and that's a big part of what we do. So you have to be able to read, comprehend, and then write. Not as much as reading and writing, but it depends on what kind of law you get into. Sometimes we get into cases that involve accounting, and those cases do involve some math, but for the most part, it's not as important in the legal business as reading and writing is. In my type of work, in a couple of ways. One, when we interview clients, we have to be able to listen to what their problems are so that we can evaluate what kind of case they have. So it's very important from that standpoint. It's also really important from the standpoint of when you're questioning a witness, you have to listen to their answer, because your next question may change depending upon what their answer is. You don't just go through a list of questions and ask your questions regardless of what their answer is. So it's something that sometimes is hard for a young lawyer to learn, but it's really important, is to be able to listen and then adapt what you're doing based upon what they say. We do. We talk about our cases a lot. We attend some things together. I have one partner. We attend some things together. We try all cases together. And so, yeah, it's very important to have people to bounce things off of. Plus, it makes it more enjoyable. Well, a lot of times we'll have people come to us who have been in a car accident, for example. they're having trouble getting their insurance company to pay full value for their car. So we will get on the phone and talk with the insurance company and try to solve that problem for the client by giving them the information they need and trying to convince them that their initial decision was not a good one. So that's a problem that we typically have to solve. That's just one example.
Okay. What do you,
From this particular job, I probably would have taken more English. I was a business major. It's helped in some ways, but it's not as directly relevant as writing and reading a broad range of things is really important for the kind of work I do. No, the only thing I would say is that if you're a young person and you're thinking about being a lawyer, go talk to some real practicing lawyers. Don't take what you see on television as the reality, because it's not. It's not what the real practice of law is. But if you're suited for it and think that's what you want to do, then, like I said before, try to get a broad range of experiences, read a lot, get some experience writing, get some experience speaking on your feet, speech class in high school, debate in high school. All those things are good for you no matter what you're going to go into, but especially the law. So, that would be some of the advice I would give.
as a lawyer, would you be, if with your time allowed, would you be willing to talk to students about
Sure,
the field that you're in?
I would. I've done it before.